Smash!
I don't even really know where to start this one. I've been kind of procrastinating on this video for a while and been struggling to get around to actually recording anything or drawing anything or painting anything for the video. I mean, I've been painting miniatures, but it's not like I've been recording or anything. It's been a matter of I really want to do something for the video. I don't know what to put in the background. I'll probably just film some stuff today, but I'll be 100% with you. It's going to be a rambly one. I don't have a huge direction for this video, and I really kind of wanted to wing it, like purposely, because I feel as if this hobby is something to me in a way that is my therapy. I've posted about this on my Instagram, because for whatever reason, I wasn't expecting this, but we reached 100 followers in less than 2 weeks, and to some people that probably sounds like nothing, but to me, that's the most I've ever had in terms of following. And for a long time, I've been very reclusive, and I'm still probably going to be pretty reclusive. I mean, I might make a Discord if this channel ever gets big or anything. I say big in air quotations, but I think it would be really cool after for so long being so reclusive and so out of place, and I haven't really, I have good friends, but I don't really talk to a lot of people in the community all too often because I just haven't really felt like I wanted to, or just perhaps it was something of I didn't really want to connect with anyone. And now I have something. I enjoy these videos. I enjoy making them. I mean, they stress me out to make sometimes, especially when things don't upload correctly or render properly, but to me, this is what makes me the happiest, when I'm painting miniatures and when I'm showing people how I do what I do. And meeting new people that are into the hobby, that are just getting into it. I love the aspect of pushing them in the right direction to figure out something new. But not only that, I think it's one of those things that it's good to push people into finding new ways to paint, but also just allowing them to do it their own spin. I mean, I think a lot of my painting has been influenced by a lot of people on YouTube, because when I got into the hobby, it was kind of at the beginning, like the new beginning of everyone starting to get into it. I remember there's a lot of painters I've actually met in real life that probably don't even know who I am. I mean, 99% sure that they don't know who I am. But I met them when they were just starting out. And I look at all the videos that I've watched over the years. I mean, I have so many playlists of just painting videos, because during my summers, that was when I was the most productive. Every time I was at school, I was thinking about painting miniatures. Anytime I was at work, I was thinking about painting miniatures when I got home. No matter how tired I was excited at the aspect of creating something. I remember writing dumb little stories about my guys, and I think that's another thing that I've wanted to talk about.
Is the idea of your guys. Now, your guys as a concept I learned from the 1D4chan Wikipedia.
The archive is up there somewhere. I would take a look. It's fucking hilarious. But I think at the end of the day, a lot of people that are getting into the hobby, I mean, I meet so many people that are getting into Warhammer specifically because Warhammer is the #1 miniature painting, war game ever. And a lot of people that I meet aren't necessarily getting into miniature painting for the painting aspect. They're getting into it for the sake of running an army or, all that. But I think a lot of them that I've seen, I feel like in my influence, I've bloomed them more into the creative aspect of it, of making their guys, their story. It's not just about, running little plastic men. It's your plastic men. You made them. You painted them. You made something great. And I think, honestly, I've had a couple friends make fun of me for saying this sentiment, not in a mean way, mind you, but I really do believe in the aspect of anyone can be an artist in some regard. And I think miniature painting is one of the most versatile art forms one can be in. Because not only are you painting small figures, you're building the figures. You can make whatever you want with them. It's sculpture building, it's painting, it's storytelling. It's your world that you're creating. And I don't really play Warhammer all too often. I played a little bit of Kill Team back in 2018. And I don't know, I'm not very smart when it comes to wargaming, to be honest. I really like Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons, rather. And I think wargaming as a result, I've never been particularly good at, but I think the most directional story I can start with is my hobby store. Because I had started going there because my friend had influenced me to get into Warhammer. And I've already talked about my first experience at the hobby store in my first video, so check that out if you want to learn about that. But it was really the second trip that really changed everything. Because I had painted my Space Marines, my first one I still keep because it's beat to shit, and it's a good example of why you need to thin your paints, and be careful with primer. But the second trip, it felt as if I remembering correctly, it was a reward for giving a fuck in school for once from my father. And I remember buying a box of Start Collecting Orcs, because I had always liked the orcs from the Space Marine game. Super excited for the sequel, by the way. And I remember I saw these paints on the back of the box, and originally it was fine when I looked for the Space Marine colors, because I just wanted to paint Ultramarines. I had bought... Games Workshop kind of does it now, where they have these start painting boxes with like a load of paints and a brush. And their start painting box was pretty good. They were like really tiny pots. I still have some of them. But I didn't really know what to look for. I just knew these names. I could read them, kind of. But I remember I felt kind of intimidated because there were a lot of guys surrounding the paint racks that clearly knew what they were doing. And I remember finally mustering the courage to talk to one of the employees, and I remember I just asked him, like, hey, I'm really new to this, can you help me find paint? And he gave me a heck yeah, I can. And I still remember that, just the genuine, like, excitement to help someone in that regard. And that's what really got me into this hobby. You know, I think there's a lot of, especially in Warhammer, you have people that are into the hobby, and then you have weirdos that are, like, calling them commissar something, and then saying heresy to every Xeno miniature they see, because they don't know what else to say.
Atypical, like, chud nerds that try to ruin everything or shit on your creation. I mean, you have them in D&D and any kind of role-playing game. Anything, like, hobby nerd-related, you're gonna have people like that.
But the thing is that sense of willingness to help, the genuine excitement to see someone succeed. I have never seen anything like it.
Because I really feel that miniature painters and hobby painters are kind of like the gym bros of the art world.
Because I have never seen anyone in the community try to tear someone down over what they do. When somebody's new, you encourage them. And that's just, it seems like the social norm now. And that's why I love doing this. Nobody's jealous of one another. I mean, I'm sure there is. I look at Richard Gray's miniatures and I think, like, Jesus, man. I wish I could paint like that. It's expensive, but, like, the community, no matter who you talk to, they're just there to help. And that's how I got so decent at painting. When I first started, I painted like anyone else that starts out. It doesn't look great. You got miniatures, you got Space Marines with chunky paint all over them. They're all pretty much one or two colors. They really aren't shaded. But because there is such an influx now of people that it's just teaching people how to get better. There's no destructive nature to it. It's just positive. And I think that's why I love this community. I get inspired every day by people that I meet. And with people that I like, that are just starting, they come up with ideas that I think, like, you're brand new to this and you have thought of something that I would have never thought of. And I think that's why I wanted to make this as kind of a ode to the fact that no matter who you are, no matter what you do, no matter how creatively defunct you think you might be, miniature painting is something that anyone can do. Miniature building, miniature wargaming, all of that. There is some aspect that I know for a fact you, whoever you're watching, you could do amazing things with. And I know it's expensive. Trust me, that's the one gatekeep for this hobby, is the price is a little absurd. But that doesn't mean that there aren't miniatures out there that you can't paint for cheap. There are tons of brands out there, and 3D printing is an option now, but that's another pitfall on its own. But I encourage anyone that's watching this, if you really think that you'd like it, you're gonna meet some cool people in this hobby. I remember the first time I had played Warhammer officially, it was at my hobby store, and it was kind of a demo for a new box set for Warhammer. And at this point, I think I'd been painting for about 5 years or so. And I remember going to the table, and I mean, there were signs everywhere. There were huge cardboard standouts of Space Marines and all that kind of crazy shit. And when I got to the table, it was kind of quaint. It was like 8 guys in this kind of fold-out table with a green mat, semi-painted terrain, and non-painted miniatures. They were all just in the plastic gray. And I'd taken a seat, and I think I was the youngest guy there by at least 30 years. And all these kind of dad-looking guys were just the nicest people I'd ever met. Like, all of them were kind of reading the book. I remember one guy he was trying to teach me the rules, and I kind of understood. It was a little intimidating, but he was like, you know what? Tell you what, you can roll the dice. And I was like, oh, shit. I like dice. And we shared a bag of pretzels, and these guys were they were just great. And I never played with them again, which I kind of lament on sometimes, that perhaps I missed out on a connection, because I've seen a couple of them around, you know, every so often when I go back to my hobby store. And I still just think, like, it brings people together that you think you would never have a deep-rooted connection with. And I know this sounds kind of fruity-tooty and gay, but I do think this hobby is what makes me, I guess, come out of my shell in some regard. Because for as reclusive as I've been, I really owe this hobby the push forward to go out and make friends again. And I guess a big part of this video, I mean, I want to encourage people, but it is kind of for me, as a way of motivating myself to make this. I think this hobby is a huge part of my life, a cornerstone of my legacy, that I will never be able to shake off. I don't think there will ever be a time where I think I don't want to paint miniatures anymore. I hope not, at least, because I have way too many fucking miniatures at my desk, in my shelves, in my closet, in my pockets, in my nose, all that. Also, pushing forward, I'm gonna try doing more basic painting tutorials whenever I don't have something very specific to talk about, and I'm sure I'll ramble while I paint, but that'll be coming soon. And we're gonna get a new setup soon. No more clotheslining my tripod over like a maniac. I'm kind of struggling to end this, to be honest, and the overall arcing theme to this video is you can paint well. And when I say all this, I don't really necessarily mean that you're gonna paint as well as, like, some of these guys that have been doing it for years. They have years of experience, and some people just have a natural talent to it. And the reason I got to where I am is because of time and effort. I think some people get a little bit more frustrated than they really need to, and I understand that. I've been there. The amount of times that I painted something and I look at it and I'm just disappointed because it isn't exactly what I wanted it to turn out to be. You know, every painter goes through that. And to some people it's too much, and that's okay. But just because your miniatures don't look spectacular, just because they don't, even if they genuinely don't look all that good, that's okay. It isn't something that
really matters at the end of the day. Unless you really, really want to get to a high level, all you really need to do is put the time and effort, and I understand that some people just can't do that. But you still have everything at your disposal to just keep going and keep trying. It really does, it matters and revolves around how much you are willing to sacrifice time-wise, and just how much of an effort you really want to put forward. I think one of the things that has always bothered me with the hobby is there are so many people that I see getting into it that drop it like a hot rock after spending so much money on it. And I think it's because these people don't necessarily have the resources or the understanding of where to look as far as finding new ways to make miniature painting a little easier. Especially with the contrast thing coming out in the last few years. Still can't believe contrast paints are... God, we're creeping up on, what, 5 years now? But there's so many good paints now that you can do amazing things without much effort. And that isn't to say that it's no effort, I'm just saying that there are so many shortcuts you can take to make your miniatures look good. Now we're living in an age where I think anyone can learn some good things after just maybe an hour of watching some YouTube videos. If you have time, you know, at work, if you have time getting home from work, you're just kind of scrolling on YouTube. I mean, the amount of times that we all scroll on YouTube and watch stupid drama bullshit that could be used as something constructive. You have things at your disposal that can teach you. You have people that have so many great ideas that will lead you down pathways to making your miniatures better. But don't even just focus on the miniature painting aspect. Focus on what makes you happy. You don't even necessarily need to share it. If it makes you happy, that's all that matters. If you're writing a story that means something to you, then yeah, you've done it. You made something that's awesome. Just because you don't share it with anyone else doesn't mean that, like, it doesn't kick ass, you know? If it makes you happy, that's what fucking matters. I apologize for dropping so many F-bombs. I don't know, I'm passionate about this stuff. And like I said, this is a very rambly video, for the most part. I guess in the last 2 weeks since I decided to make this YouTube channel, I've really done a lot of reflecting on just how much this hobby means to me. And I think a lot of people really, I mean, I'm sure the same sentiment can be shared. I mean, I've been doing this for almost 10 years now, and every year that I keep going with it, I find that I improve in some aspect. And there are always, I feel like whenever I paint something, I always run into some weird mishap, or some weird, you know, like the stars align and something goes wrong. Recently I've been painting an orc kill team, and I was going to record it for this video. The reason that there is little to no video of me actually painting miniatures, I'm sorry for that. I said earlier in the video that I was going to, but my hobby lamp that I've been using for a while decided to tip over during one of my painting sessions and crushed my squig. The antenna completely snapped off. I have no idea where it went. One of the hobbyist's worst nightmares is whenever something tiny falls and then goes to another pocket dimension somehow. In my way of trying to remedy the situation, I won't tell you how I got to the thought process of it. I used a pine needle as a way of fixing it. Yeah, I found a pine needle, and I was like, oh, that's antenna-shaped. And then I just stuck it on there. And you know what? That's pretty cool, actually. I think one thing that
a lot of newcomers really need to, and it doesn't even need to be newcomers, anyone can learn this. It is the art of making lemonade out of lemons. And it particularly works for me because for as organized as I've been as of recent, I still have a bad effort towards planning miniatures, you know what I mean? Like, for the first time ever, I've been painting an actual army. I've been painting 30k World Eaters. And I've been trying to put in the effort of actually making some kill teams because I've been interested in playing it again. And I got a box set of the new Commando Orcs. And I think the thing is that whenever I'm not organized, which is about 75% of the time, I end up doing something that I would have never planned to begin with, to fix something that I inevitably fuck up. And in a way, I initially am really pissed off because, like, I painted something and it's broken now, what the fuck? But because I fixed it in my own way, I have inadvertently added something that nobody else's miniature has. And to some people it might seem like, that is hideous. That is genuinely hideous that you added that on, or something like that, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter, because to me it's like, nobody else has this but me. This miniature that a lot of people have painted, they don't have this one aspect that I put on my miniature. And that isn't to say that there is anything wrong with, like, copying someone's painting. In fact, it's, you know, I think a good way of putting it is similar to drawing, where some people despise the idea of tracing someone else's art. And hey, if you're going to pass it off as your own, dude, no, not okay. But if you are learning and you are trying to garner how to do something, tracing is how you figure out how to do shit. Tracing is how you figure out the movements, the idea, how your wrist flexes to get something correct. If you want to take something and apply your knowledge, you need to trace. And this video is probably getting a little long at this point. It's getting a little long in the tooth, and I don't really want that. I want to try to keep it as short as possible through all these ramblings, and I'm sure that I'm editing out some shit, like right now, because this is gibberish. In final conclusion, mishmash, kitbash, paint all those little miniatures that you own. Please don't buy any new ones like I do. Do as I say, not as I do. And just keep trying, because you're gonna make some cool shit. I promise. Keep on it. I apologize for the rambliness, but I think I needed this more for myself than anything. If you like the video, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you want to see more kind of stuff like this. We're going to get back to proper painting videos this coming week. Got some new setup stuff coming. I apologize for not getting this out on time. Not that I think anyone really cared, but, you know, it's more so for myself. I'm apologizing for myself. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.
He's blinking help me in Morse code.
What the fuck is wrong with this Amble? He's like staring at the wall and like smooching it over and over again. I bet I could defeat him. I'm pointing my fucking chainsword. No, I'm pointing my chainsword at him accusingly.